$27 a day sounds harmless, but that number is eating $10,000 a year. Not one big purchase, just $27 spread invisibly across an ordinary day. $6 here, $14 there, each charge too small to feel like a real loss. The brain doesn't flinch at $6 the way it flinches at $600. That gap between what you feel and what you actually spend is exactly where the leak hides. And here's the thing most people don't know: their bank statement will never show it to them. The statement lists every charge in the order it happened. Monday's lunch next to Thursday's rideshare. It never adds them up by category. It never tells you what food delivery really cost this month. That invisibility is not an accident. It's just how every bank statement is built. The number only becomes real when someone pulls those charges out and sums them by category, and that's the whole reveal. The one move that changes everything about how you see your money. Before getting there, here's the math. Because the math is the reason this actually matters. $27.40 a day times 365 days equals $10,000. That's an exact number. Pure arithmetic, no assumptions required. $10,000 a year gone. Not to one decision, but to hundreds of tiny ones that felt like nothing. Now stretch it 10 years and invest that money instead. Assume 7% annual growth. That's an assumption, not a promise, but under it, the math is striking. Under that assumption, 10 years of recovered spending grows to over $140,000. That is just what $10,000 a year does when it compounds instead of evaporating. The question is not whether that number matters. It clearly does. The question is whether any of it is visible right now. And for most people, it's not. Here's why the invisibility problem is harder than it looks. It's not one category, it's 5. Food delivery is one line, but it might show up 6 or 8 times a month. Each charge is under $20, so no single line on the statement looks alarming. Subscriptions are another category, and the real danger is that they renew silently while you sleep. Most people are paying for at least one subscription they forgot they signed up for, guaranteed. Rideshare, convenience fees, impulse buys at checkout. Each one feels like a one-time decision, but it's not one time. It's every week, and weekly adds up to a monthly number that shocks most people. The spending isn't irrational. In the moment, every single charge made sense. The problem is that no single moment shows the full picture. The full picture only exists as a monthly total, and that monthly total is the number nobody has ever shown you on a single screen. The bank is not going to fix that. It makes money when spending stays invisible and automatic. Dad's rule has always been this: you can't save money you don't track. Not track obsessively, just track enough to see the total by category once a month. That single number, the monthly discretionary total, it is the one most people have never actually seen. So here's the real question. What do you think your daily spend actually looks like right now? Take a guess, then drop the number in the comments, because the real one is almost always a surprise. Now here's where the leak almost always hides, and this is what most people never expect. When someone actually categorizes a month of transactions, the overspend is almost never spread evenly. It's concentrated. 1 or 2 categories carry the vast majority of the excess. For many people, it's food delivery, not because it's evil, but because it's the most frictionless category. One tap, 30 minutes done. The friction of cooking is replaced by the cost of convenience. For others, it's subscriptions that have quietly stacked. $12 here, $15 there, $18 somewhere else. Add those up, and the monthly subscription bill routinely crosses $150 to $200. That is $1,800 to $2,400 a year from things most people think of as small. The point isn't that subscriptions are bad, it's that the total is invisible until it's summed. And once the total is visible, the choice becomes real. Keep it or cut it on purpose. That's the entire shift tracking creates, from spending by default to spending by decision. Default spending is what happens when the number is invisible. Decision spending is what happens when it isn't. The 30-day track is the only thing that moves someone from the left side to the right, not a budget. Not a spreadsheet overhaul, just 30 days of knowing the category total. Here's what that 30 days actually looks like. It is not what most people picture when they hear tracking. Step 1. Download or export the last 30 days of transactions from the bank as a CSV file. Every major U.S. bank offers this. It's usually a 2-click export from the statement page. Step 2. Paste those transactions into a categorization tool that groups them automatically. The Fiscal Father Budget Tracker, linked free in the description, does exactly this on the transaction sheet. Paste the CSV, and it sorts every charge into categories and shows a budgeted versus actual comparison. Step 3. Look at the category totals, not to feel guilty, just to see where the number lives. That's it. 3 steps, maybe 30 minutes total, and the invisible number is visible for the first time. Most people who do this discover the leak in the first category they check. It's almost always food delivery, subscriptions, or rideshare, and one of them always dominates. Once someone sees that one category, the math on the full year becomes personal, not abstract. If food delivery is running $400 a month, that's $4,800 a year on convenience. Not a catastrophe, but now it's a choice because the number has a name and a face. The choice might be keep it because the convenience is genuinely worth that to this household, or cut it in half. Cook 3 extra nights a week and redirect $2,400. Either answer is fine, because either answer is a decision, not a default. The goal of tracking is not to punish spending, it is to make every dollar a deliberate one. A deliberate dollar spent on something that matters is never the problem. The invisible one is. Here's the verdict, and here's the exact decision rule that makes this actionable. The math says, if daily discretionary spending sits at $27.40, the annual cost is $10,000. That number does not move until it's measured. Measuring it is the entire intervention. The decision rule: track every transaction for 30 days, then sort by category. Then find the one category that dominates. That's where the decision lives. Then decide, on purpose, what that category is worth to this household in dollars per year. If it's worth it, keep it with eyes open. If it's not worth it, cut it and redirect that money somewhere with a name and a purpose. Most people who do the 30-day track find $200 to $500 a month they can redirect, and they don't miss it because it was invisible spending, not spending they actually valued. That's $2,400 to $6,000 a year. Found by looking, not by earning more. Found money is the best kind. It requires no raise, no side hustle, no sacrifice of anything real. The full $10,000 a year isn't all waste. Some of it is spending worth keeping. But right now, without tracking, there's no way to know which is which. Tracking draws the line, and the line is what makes the choice possible. Now here's the one more thing. The bonus most people don't come for, but leave glad they stayed. The single number to watch every month is not a budget. It's one line: total discretionary spend. Not needs, not fixed bills, just the want spending, food delivery, subscriptions, entertainment, impulse buys. That one number, watched monthly, tells more about financial trajectory than almost any other single figure. And it takes 30 seconds to generate. Export the bank's CSV, paste it in the tracker, read the total. Not a chore. 30-second monthly pulse check that tells exactly where the money is going. The Fiscal Father Budget Tracker is in the description, ungated and free, built for exactly this use case. It runs in Excel and Google Sheets. Paste the CSV and it categorizes automatically. It shows budgeted versus actual on one screen. No setup, no formulas to build from scratch. That's the whole system. One file, one monthly paste, one number to watch. Simple enough to actually do, which is the only kind of system that works long-term. So here's Dad's one rule on this. Track it for 30 days before judging a single dollar of it. You cannot manage a number you have never actually seen. $27 a day, $10,000 a year, one number most people have never looked at directly.